It's showtime, guys. I'm Coach Brandon. This is the Core 4 Show, and welcome to another week of us being able to report to you why we are creating wealth. And so for a lot of us, this might be the first time that you've actually heard about the show or you decided to join us. So let me just tell you a little bit about what Core 4 is all about and what our team is all about. Core 4 originated because I personally got involved in cryptocurrency scams, and those scams were so devastating to our family. And so many of my friends and other family got involved because they saw the potential success, and we all loved the idea of, creating passive income and how we would create that passive income by giving it to these cryptocurrency companies and all the rest of the stuff. And next thing you know, they made all of these excuses, all these reasons why the whatever the platform was or whatever the narrative was, it was gone. Or they were breached, they were hacked, or there was some technical delay that they were dealing with. But it all ends up being the same thing, and that is that you're giving your money to someone. Now they have things like these bots that are out here, and so then they have like these specialized platforms or brokers that you can go on and PAM accounts, and none of them have ever really worked. They've all been full of excuses. And if they have really worked, then how come we don't know about them? How come we're not intimately familiar with it and how it all works? And the reason why we're not is because they don't really work. So there was one last year, I talk about it all the time, and everybody was looking at the hype, and it was like the end of all the rug pulls. And so no need for me to name it, but it was all smoke and mirrors. And so they started selling these NFTs and giving you this confusing language that you had to participate and learn and all the rest of the other stuff. And that's not the education that we need to get to where we want to be. There are a lot of other real world opportunities that are out there that are able to help us to really achieve our goals. And it doesn't take rocket science. It just takes a little bit of time and application, and it takes a community of people that have been executing before you. So Core 4 was designed for four essential things. Number one is mindset. Change your mindset about minding your own business. So a lot of times we get out there and we're like, oh, I don't know how to do all of that. Okay, well, that's fine. You can say that, but that's going to keep you in this perpetual glass ceiling that you've kind of created for yourself. And then there's some people that are actually financially successful, but not really reaching their full potential. And so they're afraid to take risk. And we all take risk. We all sell ourselves. We all are doing. I'm a former basketball player. Every team I tried out for, I was selling myself. I was saying, these are my skill sets. And if I really wanted to make that team, then not only did I have to refine my skill sets, but I had to understand the patterns better that were out there and apply the skills faster with the highest probability of success. That's what we all do in life, no matter what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And so for me, I said, how do we form a team of people so that the second thing that Core 4 does, besides help us with mindset, it's 9 to 5. How do we change our 9 to 5 mentality? How do we change it to where we're not changing or trading our time for a dollar? Because really, that's where it comes down to. The wealthy actually do what? They actually employ their own money. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about today, just in our last segment, where I'm just rapping to you guys a little bit, but how to employ your own money. And so for a lot of us, we really don't know what that means. It's foreign to us. And I was talking to a family earlier today and just telling them about how my experience when I was at Miami and how I had some very wealthy friends. And so they would literally say, okay, what do we want to do this week? And so they would use the financial markets as their playground. And these are kids 20, 21 years old, but their parents had already solved the whole concept of creating wealth by having your money make money for you. And so they taught them how to use a little bit of capital, leverage it, and they would make $100,000 a week. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Why I didn't stay, I don't know. Any of you guys that are shrinks, please call me and help me to understand why I made that decision. But let's get back. So the next thing is that we want to help you with your retirement. Because at Core 4, we believe that when the working is done and you really want to spend time with your family and start thinking about, legacy and all the rest of that stuff, you really have to kind of pay attention to your retirement. What does that 401k really look like? Why does it look that bad? What is dollar cost averaging into that 401k? Stop just listening to a financial advisor. And we're not financial advisors, but stop listening to a financial advisor and start thinking about what the financial advisor is saying. You can hear them and listen to whatever it is, but think about how it really is going to impact you in your retirement and your family. And that's all Core 4 wants you to do, is just think about it. And then finally, investments. What kind of investments do you hold? There was a gentleman that I saw, I hadn't seen him for a long, long time, and he started telling me, he said, hey, you know this guy that is the president of this company, and we're trying to get a contract. And he went through like this scientific thingamadoodle, whatever, about, and I said, okay, I hear you. And he's like, but there's something in for you if you really help us to get a relationship with this guy. And he says, I'm going to send you the website and look at it. It's going to take you about a week or two to really dissect it and really understand what we're doing. And I'm like, dude, I don't want you to send me no emails. Don't send me a website. I have no interest in learning any of that, because then if the people that I know aren't interested in what he had to do, I got 4 kids. I'm not going to spend the quality of my day and my time with things that really aren't relevant to the success patterns in my life right now. And so that's where Core 4 comes in, because it provides you with several tools with super intelligent, tested, proven individuals that can help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And we'll talk about the fact that, there's plenty of influencers. We're on YouTube right now and Facebook or whatever else, but there are plenty of YouTubers that are out here that really, guess what? They're not doing anything but selling you or telling you about their journey with these platforms. But they're not taking the time out to look at what we're doing at Core 4 to say, look, we can give you some real world opportunities. I mean, we're making some staggering numbers week after week after week, but we don't set it up so that, you get a piece of whatever, somebody puts 100,000 in and you get 10 or you get 20% of that. That's not what we're about. You make your money. It may take you a little longer to get there. If you don't have 100,000 and you just have 1,000, it may take you 100 days more to get to wherever it is that you're trying to go. So what? You're at least on a heck of a journey that has a better chance of success with transparency, with the team of people that we have out here that are amazing humans, that are accountable, and that actually care. And without saying much more, let's meet some of those people, because each and every week I give you the opportunity to get to know a little bit about who they are. And so we first have the core forecast. And what is this? Because I want you guys to really think about what the core forecast means for you. This gives you a chance in the real world, in the financial markets, to really take a listen to what Chris and James have to say about what's going on in the world, fundamentally, technically. And the beauty of it is you get to go back, if you really care about it, and take a look at what they said last week and see how it applies to this week, 2 weeks ago, and see how it applied to last week, 5 weeks ago, and see how it applies to today. That's the accountability, and that's getting to know this team, and they have business models that may work for you. And as you get to know them and your curiosity happens, just contact us. I'll put you in touch with them. You'll get a chance to build a relationship with them and figure out if it's worth it for you to invest your dollars or not. But guess what? At least there's a transparency, the authenticity, and the reality that they're here to stay. So without further ado, we're going to welcome Chris Pulver. Chris, how you doing, kind sir?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Happy Sunday, man.
Happy Sunday to you too. How's your arm doing, man?
Well, you got the text. I got the MRI. I got the interactive file. So I get that in hopefully Weemy's hands and some good doctors out there to take a look at it. And we'll be on hopefully the right path. I just I got to get out there and play some golf with James. So he keeps thinking I'm just calling in excuses with my arm. So
well, if your arm hurts that bad, I might actually play against you myself.
I mean, go for it, dude. I'll be the ringer.
All right,
sounds a sandbag.
Well, I'm gonna let you help these young people out here make some serious money.
All right, sounds good. I've got the screen share here. I thought, Brandon, just give me a second. Can you throw my screen up there?
I don't see it yet. It's not up
Let me
there.
know.
Just
I just reshared it. There we go. Okay. So everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome to Core Forecast. This is the 1 week performance in the broader market, the S&P 500. So you can see a lot of green. If you join the Core Forecast the last couple of weeks, we've been pretty spot on with what we expected to see. All in all, it's a good week. I mean, the markets were up, which makes things pretty easy. But I was really agile, really nimble this week with a couple of a lot of trading around the indexes. I think I had let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was 10 for 11 last week in trades. SPX, NDX, Spotify, Tesla, Meta, Baidu, all for gains. The top 25 in the major indexes, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell outperformed the broader market by a little bit, but everything was still positive. The Dow still clinged to like a 1 or just shy of a 1% gain. NASDAQ led the way just over 4% for the week. So here's what we talked about. I had mentioned, the floor had broken here with a big sell-off on the early parts of April. So we had a big sell-off on a Thursday, a big sell-off after the floor was broken on a Monday. And then we proceeded several days lower. We had like a 6-day sell-off in a row. And so if you joined us last week for the core forecast, I was looking at this area offering a bounce. And either we were going to continue to push lower, looking to bounce in these lows, but it wasn't surprising that we had some pretty big earnings in the markets last week, and that included Tesla, that included Microsoft, that included Google, that included Meta as well, and also had Spotify in there. And there's some big ones, and you include some of the big Mag 7 mega cap techs, and they did okay. I mean, earnings were beat. Interesting ways that the market played out. Like Tesla has been just beat up and hated on all year, and yet it popped up off the lows from 138 up to 160 and change. And we were positive on that in Streamwise here. It popped up about 21%. We had a nice little earnings grab out of that. Spotify blew out earnings expectations. And you can see here, it looks like nothing happened, right? I mean, I was both directions on Spotify. We had this big rip to the upside from all the way with a close here to a push of around 17%. And we had a great trade on Spotify just going into the day after earnings once we had a price open back up. So really nice there. Meta as well. Meta had, excuse me, a huge drop to the downside. And if you just take a look at the chart, a lot of this, if you've been paying attention to the markets since October of last year, when we had a big significant bottom and we had a Fed pivot in December, the market ripped all year. We've had 5 or 6 months of nonstop bullishness. You can just drag something as simple as a Fibonacci swing from this low all the way up to these recent highs. And what we are dealing with is a correction. So go back to the main index, go back to the SPX here, and you can see the same thing. This is the 2023 low from October. We've been rallying up all the way into March. And it wasn't a surprise that April turned over a little bit. Now, I think, this is my opinion, but we've been pretty accurate with what we've been forecasting here. I think that the way that 2023 played out with a correction here is very likely the case for what we could see here in 2024. Now, I don't think we're going to continue to go all the way down here and have to have this big justified pivot at the bottom, but I do think that the bulls will have a heck of a time just surging to all-time highs. If there is a week to let this market rip, however, this would be the week. And the reason I say that is going into the earnings this week. We have 913 companies on tap this week for earnings, and there's some big ones. You look at some of the semiconductor plays, you look at the AI space, you look at the computing power, you look at fintech, you look at some of the bellwethers like Coca-Cola. I mean, that's a dividend gem. You look at McDonald's, Eli Lilly with Ozempic. SMCI came out of nowhere with one of the best performances. In fact, it's actually leading a lot of the indexes this year as one of the best performing stocks. Advanced Micro Devices, that's again in the chip space. We have Pfizer for big pharma. We have Barrick Gold, which gold's been up to a big rip this year. I'm hoping that gold and silver continue to shine, even if it's a inflation play or stagflation play. We'll see what happens, but I think gold and silver are really good trades to also diversify the portfolio. We also have Coinbase, DraftKings, Block, and Apple. So you want to throw in one of the largest companies in the world. Apple's on Thursday after market. You've got a lot of those AI companies reporting as well. So I go back to the charts, and this is what I'm looking for. I think the market, with the Fed on Wednesday, we have an FOMC rate decision. Powell will be given a press conference. James will talk more about that as well. We have non-farm payroll on Friday. A lot of news for the market to digest and a ton of earnings. If this is the ability for the market to really just rip all the way back to the highs, I could see that happening, but I do see the market struggling at those highs. So either we get all the way back to these highs, failing to take those out, and we have more of a range and a correction, or something this week is going to disappoint the market, and it might be the Fed. And so we could have high to low, lower high to lower low when the week is done, and we can come back into some deeper, healthier correction levels. I mean, I've been saying that in a bull market that has had nothing but rips to the upside, it's not that bad to see a 3 to 5% correction. And most of the indexes did sell off right around that 5 to 6%, some as high as 8%, but we're kind of containing the sell off so far. And all I'm looking for is this low, this high, pulling back to some reasonable levels, possibly recent all-time highs becoming support again. And so this week, I'm going to be pretty nimble, taking positions, probably take a couple of earnings plays, high, low, lower high, lower low. Now, a lot of times during these Fed weeks, the market either moves ahead of the Fed, the market doesn't move at all prior to the Fed, and it's all about Wednesday to Friday. So if the market is very quiet going into Monday's trading, most likely Tuesday is going to be pretty quiet. All eyes on the Fed on Wednesday, and your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be the most volatility. So that's mostly the the stock market, major earnings. If we look at the currencies really quickly, the dollar index continues to show some pretty good signs of structural support. As long as the dollar, in my opinion, stays above 105.50 or above this 105 level, to me, the dollar is still well supported. Now, the dollar getting stronger might look at some risk off trading. So we might see a weaker Aussie, a weaker Euro, a weaker pound, a weaker New Zealand, a weaker CAD against the dollar. This is what I'm positioning for. I'm still long on the dollar right now. The Japanese yen continues to get super weak as well. The dollar yen is just into no man's land. We broke above this 152 handle back in late. It should have been like, end of March. We got into consolidation at about a 2-week range, and then we broke out. Says April 10th, April 11th, and it has not looked back. Now I keep seeing all this out there. All these. I'm gonna say traders, but all these people are like, the Bank of Japan is going to intervene. Good luck timing that. I mean, there is no sign of this market selling off the dollar yen, in my opinion, right now. And if it's going to, what's going to make it stop at 158? To me, nothing. You look left and find some history here. We have a major high in the dollar yen all the way back to 1990, and we have a major low back here at 177 back in 1980. So there is truly, outside of 160, there is open space for this yen to travel to 170 to 175, 177 before there's major intervention. And I'm not going to be the trader that's trying to call the stupid top. Right now, the carry trade is alive and well. It is so easy to borrow yen and pretty much pay for everything else or invest in everything else that's going to outperform. And to me, this is the easy trade. Stay long against the yen until this is a broken trend line or until you see a massive topping pattern in the works. Then I will start trading it. Otherwise, I'm long. My robots are doing long, and they're crushing it right now. I mean, last week in Forex trading for me, I'll go back to my blog that I posted on Friday. I had a couple of robots that helped us make some pips. 400 pips, 390 pips, 318 pips, 339 pips, 345 pips. Pretty good week, all with automation. So I'm deployed against the yen and I'm buying against the yen. I'm deployed against the Swiss, buying against the Swiss. Our core 4 stuff is doing pretty well from what I can see. And we're just really sitting on profits. I mean, we're getting positive swap in those trades. We're sitting on profits, and it's a good position to be in for 2024. And that being said, there's a lot of stuff to let the market digest this week. There might be some noise, but if it's quiet on Monday and the market's not going to make a move ahead of the Fed, then it's all eyes on the Fed on Wednesday, and just look for a lot of high volatility this week. We could have some major highs and lows. Sometimes the market doesn't necessarily go anywhere as far as the overall direction for the week, but the high, the low, or the high low of the week could be very, very volatile. So just buckle up for a crazy week.
Excellent. And so just out of curiosity, can you go back to the US dollar index, please?
Yep.
So the actual dollar is worth $1.05. Is that what you're saying?
No, this is the weighted dollar index, which compares. It's like this is made up of about 50% of this is with the euro. You've got the pound, the Aussie, the Swedish krone. There's U.S. dollar index, which is FXCM related. Then there's the DXY. What this shows is this is the dollar index that kind of weights all these major currencies against it. So what we've seen since this pivot during the holidays is the dollar has been stronger. So if we take a look at all these other currencies and the exchange rates, look at the Aussie dollar. Okay, dollar has been stronger with respect to this high to this low. So the Aussie dollar has been down Pip wise, that's about 500 pips to the downside. So if you've been focusing on dollar strength, you've been getting paid pretty handsomely on some of these positions. So euro dollar all the way up towards, I think we were at the 111. Yeah, we're up to like 111.50, and now we're all the way down to 107. That's a 400 pip sell off on the euro dollar. The pound dollar is really tricky this year. We had a fake out all the way up towards 129, came all the way down to 123. That's a 600 pip sell off. The Kiwi's been one of the weakest currency pairs to trade, and it's been really nice against the dollar. Highs up here all the way to 63 and change, all the way down to 58. So another 400 to 500 pips to the downside. Dollar CAD, another good story. Dollar CAD from big support right around 3,200 all the way up towards highs at 38, another 600 pip move. So the dollar index has been the story. And again, I think there's room for this to continue. I mean, technically, I'm looking for the dollar index to continue up towards 107. If it drifts higher and hits my technical levels up around 108, I will then start looking to position and see if the market's going to be forward thinking and trying to price in some dollar weakness. This might be if the market really catches wind of when the Fed's going to cut, if the Fed's going to cut, and this might take us all the way into the end of the year. I mean, James might talk more about this with the Fed and the expectations this week, but there's a pause expected. Right now, it sounds like the Fed's not going to cut rates until possibly September, maybe not at all in 2024. And we're going to see how the market likes that because it may hate it.
Chris, excellent. Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
If you guys only understand what you guys are getting, it's fascinating. And I'm in shock because you guys have the benefit of hearing some of the world's experts on what the market is doing, and you haven't seen them be wrong. Amazing. Welcome to the Core 4 show if you haven't been here before. James, take it away, buddy. How are you today?
I am about 17 pages deep in a paper. That's how I'm doing right now.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, now that Chris's arm is not doing so well, how's your confidence in terms of your game against him?
Let me just tell you, okay? And I'm not going to cuss on the show or nothing like that.
Chris, he's right here. He's right here.
I'm listening.
Let you know,
I'm listening.
Okay? When I step onto a golf course, it's a lot like you probably stepping onto a basketball court. There's 9 bad mofos at that place, and 8 of them call me sir. Okay, there is it's God, Tiger, James.
I got to take you off, man. I mean,
if I have friends that are on mini tours, and if they had my confidence, the Tiger Woods record would have been broken 8 years ago.
Man, you talk trash like you used to be a garbage man. All right.
I'll tell you, sanitation and Jameer. Okay, don't get it right.
All right. Well, let's talk some good, clean stuff.
Absolutely. So we had a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. As Chris talked about, I'm going to pick up where he left off with the dollar yen. I completely agree with what he said there. With good luck trying to time when somebody makes a decision to actually do something and intervene, because that is next to impossible. That's why the fundamentalists out there in the world say you can't time a market. Well, what you can do is pay attention to the news and understand that news gives the market direction, and technicals gives the market a destination. And so this week we do have a lot of news coming out. I'll touch on a little bit of it. Mainly the big announcements. So we have Monday and Tuesday, very small, minor announcements, and CPI data, which is inflation data out of Germany, which Germany is the largest economy in the European Union. We have some New Zealand announcement as well on Tuesday, but Wednesday is when we really start rocking and rolling, where we have the FOMC, Federal Open Markets Committee rate statement and the federal funds rate. And as Chris said, we're more than likely going to see a hold, and we're more than likely going to hold through June. We're more than likely going to hold through July, and early as maybe September, could we see a rate cut? Now, one of the interesting aspects here is at the last FOMC announcement, they talked about GDP heavily. And prior to that announcement, we saw actual GDP growth of 3.4%. Well, prior to this announcement, we saw a major contraction, pulling back to 1.6 or 1.8% month over month. Year over year was still at a pullback of like 2%, just over 2%. And so with the Fed trying to balance inflation, growth, as we'll see it as displayed in GDP, as well as the federal funds rate. Pulling all of these levers is going, and mistiming one of them could be a big misstep for the U.S. economy. And I expect the U.S. dollar to continue to rise until they decide to give us more insight as to, hey, look, we are gonna, we are cutting rates. That's when that big change will happen, and that's when that major announcement will happen as well. Now, the other big news that we have coming out is non-farm payroll for the U.S. That is on Friday. That will absolutely affect the U.S. dollar as well. And then I want to touch on a couple of things that happened here literally today into last week. So literally 2:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tesla CEO Elon Musk lands in China for a surprise visit. So renegotiating with China, getting his factories back opening and operating at full capacity again, or maybe closing some of them down, depending on how those conversations go. All eyes will be on that, as China is a key to Tesla growth. Apple renews talks to use OpenAI in its new iPhone operating system this year. As many of you guys know, it was a known going into this year that the iPhone 15 was because of the lack of access to the chips, as everybody would say. It was a known that it wasn't going to be a huge evolution, but rather a camera upgrade, a storage upgrade, some pretty colors. And this next iPhone is going to need to be a iteration above what we have now to drive people to want to get access to it and drive people to purchase it to help bolster their stock performance. As you know, I believe if the iPhone was its own tech company alone, it would be the second largest tech company in the world. So that is a very important thing, and I'll be continuing to follow those announcements. And this is right around the corner from what's called their Worldwide Developer Conference, which takes place typically in June or late May. And we also saw from Microsoft, one of their key aspects, and this is one of the things that blew Amazon up, right? A lot of people think, oh, Amazon shopping. And a lot of people think Microsoft operating system. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. The big element into their earnings has been the Azure cloud, as well as Amazon Web Services. Azure earned a government contract, and they saw a 31% growth year over year. Which that contributed to the bottom line in a major way. And then we are also seeing Alphabet growing as well. That's Google, for those that don't know. Their stock is actually called Alphabet. It was renamed a few years ago. Ticker symbol still the same. And they announced that they are going to be doing a $70 billion stock buyback, which that will, that could go into cost of capital. It could go into control of company, control of shares, and just share reduction. So that will be something to study and see as it unfolds here today. But that's it really from the news side of things.
I love it. So great. Well, I'll tell you, you talked about me getting on the basketball court. You're absolutely right. I had one of my students and I said, let's see who can outshoot who. He's 16 years old, and I took the first shot and I hit the side of the backboard on the corner. It was terrible. It was embarrassing.
Don't be out there like me.
Then I made like the next 15.
There you go.
Reflect on this name, man. Thank you so much. That was a great job.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, now we move over from the core forecast so you guys can kind of get an idea of what's coming up. And now we get to the core 4 report. And so we have 3 areas. We have the Forex, we have binary options, and we have yield farming. But what's important to note about each is that with the Forex, we don't really report the weekly earnings because that's going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so that's a long-term kind of an experience. And it's just a private way where, you can actually follow the Ghost Protocol team and see what they're investing in. And then you can decide if you want to follow their relationship. But we have something that's also very powerful, and that's yield farming. And yield farming is amazing because it's one of those things where you as an active investor can really take a look at some of these pairs. And we've looked at, so much over the last few weeks. I'm getting about 8% a week, and it's very little work. I don't even think I looked at it one time this week. And so you'll be able to decide whether or not you want to participate with Eric Majors, who's a fantastic teacher. He's put together a phenomenal course on how you can get set up. There is no affiliate, there's no anything. So you just buy the course for $650. It's $3,000 almost to get it outside of Core 4. But what's most important is the idea that you can actually put yourself in a position where you can leverage a very little bit amount of money learning this, and then through the transactional fees, just make a lot of yield, make a lot of wheat and corn and whatever else you do on a farm. So let's bring him on so you can actually meet him. And he is a guru of yield farming. Hey, buddy.
Hey guys, how you doing? Appreciate the great introduction there. I've been a little busy because I'm getting ready to, we're making a registered fund in the U.S. to actually trade the LP. So I was at the fund launch last week, and we're probably going to go with their package to do the launch. But so they got me real busy. It's been a long time since I've listed a company on the stock exchange or done any Reg Ds or all that, but we're getting ready to do it again for this. Good. So
now, go ahead. I know, Coach, you said that you had some things that you were going to be deploying for the site for the course. And what I love is that, once you're a member of your course and a student of yours, all the updates are included so that we can stay right fresh, up to date. So have those updates been released, or are they going to be released in the next couple of weeks?
I'm diligently trying to get them released right now. I wanted to make I did the whole updates I wanted to publish, and then I just realized that I wanted to redo them. So I wanted to have them done and published last Thursday, but I just didn't like how they came out at all. I've tried to make my course material super simple.
Yeah.
Super simple so that people can just literally follow the steps 1, 2, 3 and get into the positions. Okay. So I wasn't pleased with how I made that last update. So I'm going to redo it. I'm going to get it out probably Wednesday or Thursday this week is my goal. And I also had to get some more horsepower on one of my computers that I use for editing these things. I can't just give this over to anyone to edit it, because it's like a lot of technical stuff, and I can figure out where to make the splits in the thing,
Well, what I like is that, you've taken something that's highly technical, that you probably have a little OCD when it comes to putting the stuff together, because you really make it out to where this summer I want my 2 oldest children, who are 13 and 12, to really try to take the course and see if they can, from taking the course, be able to produce, something. If I give them $100, can they do it? And I just want to, it's good education, but a lot of this stuff, for kids, they have like this ceiling. They don't think they can do it. I mean, college now, Vanderbilt, and I just found out that Tufts is over $100,000 a year to go to, and also Franklin and Marshall. And it's just a lot. And so for parents that really want to, figure out how they can make some alternative investments and let it grow with some of the traditional investments, what you're doing, what Chris is doing, what James is doing, what India is doing is really incredible. So I just want to say thank you for, being a steward for, all of us, and also being a great friend. So
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, you guys, I'll talk to you later. So, look, binary options. We have India Bradford, who is a great coach. She's a great little sister. She is doing very well for the community. And, what we like about active investing, just to kind of talk, is, with Eric and with India, it's kind of like somebody saying, hey, do you want to check into an NBA game? I mean, I'm foolish enough that I would try to check in and just see if I could hit 1 3 on LeBron. I think I can do it. Matter of fact, I know I can, because I believe in me. But anyway, the idea is that if you have an opportunity to let an expert help you, why not? And all they're doing is helping you and guiding you and just kind of shifting you from one place to the next, almost like you're in a video game and they're controlling you inside the game. And it's your success. It's your wealth that you're creating. It's your life that you're building. And so for what Eric and what Indy are doing in terms of active investments, it's really critical for you guys to really pay attention. And so when I just saw coming across my desk just a little while ago, there's another platform that's out there, and I'm not going to say the name of it, but it's offering 1 to up to 2% a day. And it's a bot and all the rest of the stuff. And so it twists you and it turns you and all the rest of the other kinds of things. And so there's always going to be those kind of opportunities out there for you to say, I want to be passive and all the rest of that stuff. But get active before you get passive. Some of the greatest success stories are people that work really, really hard for a given amount of time, recognized the patterns, applied the skill sets, and started to anticipate the patterns before the skill was applied. Then they apply it as that window opens, and we call them heroes, or we call them Warren Buffett, or we call them Eric Majors, or Chris Pulver, or James Bishop, or India Bradford. But we don't call them Brandon Adams unless we're on the basketball court. Let's bring on India. How you doing, young lady?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good, good. Let me bring up your screen for you. How was your week this week?
Awesome. So this week had about a 63% winning rate. Finished with 16.1% profit. So it was about 17 for 27 out of all of the trades. So what I'm most excited about is pretty much just having consistent growth. And what I love about Core 4 just in general is, like you said, having that active income that puts people in position, number one, to control their assets, and also so they can have more time to focus on the things that they really want to do. And so this week we were able to be profitable, and hopefully in the future we can start to build on that and use those profits to contribute to the lifestyle that we really want.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you talking about this. You lost, or it was a small loss that you had this week. I want people to know that, when they see profit, it's not like, okay, she wins every single time. She's always, there's going to be times that you're going to lose, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you get India's course, yes, and I say it on the air, I've said it plenty of times, this is gambling with the strategy.
Yeah.
So you have to know that going in. And if you choose to try it, understand that there's a strong chance that you're going to be successful. And you showing your success, my success matches your success.
Yes.
And so many of us are doing this because we're trading at the same time.
Right.
So you also show your trades that you're entering in at the time that it happens. That's a very powerful experience for all of us. Yeah. So I hope people take it seriously, what you and Eric are doing in terms of active investments.
Yeah.
Chris and James are passive investment with the regulations and the CTAs and the insurances and all the rest of the stuff, and they're still killing the game.
Yeah.
So, we have an amazing team. So great job, and I hope you have a week that is may the worst of your last week be the best of your tomorrow.
For sure. All right.
Be the same. Guys, we've talked about surrounding yourself with the right team, and how do you build a team? Some people say I'm like a general manager or the owner of a whatever. Okay, call it what you will. I just know that there are people that are out here that spend a lot of time the way that I have, becoming a technical expert on pattern recognition theory for basketball. I know there's people that have done the same things for other disciplines. And so when we have a common interest and support system, then we can create something that's magical, not just for ourselves, but to share it with others without feeling the need because we're trying to get that affiliate bonus. and all the rest of that stuff. We need to cut that out. And we need to start looking at the fact that, let's just say you are getting 16 to 20% a week in a gambling for strategy, binary options opportunity. What does that really look like over the course? It's almost like if you follow the rule of 72, every 4 weeks you can double your money. That's crazy. That's crazy. And so Indy and I have talked about it along with Sonia and so many others. And as this grows, then we start to look at retirement opportunity. We start to look deeper at what James is doing, what Chris is doing, and what others are doing that really in real estate. Just even there's some unbelievable private ventures that are just real world business opportunities in telecom and in AI and all sorts of other stuff that we're getting exposed to. And so to have the funds to be able to convert from something like what Eric is doing and what India is doing, to be able to then say, okay, now I can build for a diversified retirement and have some lower risk, more real world opportunities. Because I will tell you that I do believe that gambling with a strategy is still gambling with a strategy, where I believe that investing is investing. And so there's a difference between the two. And then sometimes we'll get a chance to talk, or you guys won't ever ask me what that difference is, and I'll be happy to share it with you. That's what I'm here for. So 2 ways to become wealthy. So the first way is to step in the game and get away from yourself. We have preconceived notions on what life should be like, what money should look like, how we should spend money. And then we have regret because we didn't take chances. I had the opportunity in 1992 to become the assistant coach at a major Division I university. And so I just finished playing basketball at Miami, and I chose not to take that on. Why did I do that? Because I didn't want to do another 2 years of school to get my master's. I had poor mentors at that point. Then I had an opportunity to go to Georgetown Law or to apply to go to Georgetown Law. And I chose not to because I didn't want to do the reading, or I didn't want to do this, or I didn't want to do that. I was going to hustle and try to make it another way. That's kind of like me looking for another crypto platform, another scam to join, instead of doing the active learning that I need to do so that I can better myself and have something that people can never take away from you, and that's your education. And so the first way is get out of your own way. If you want to be wealthy, get out of your own way. Let other people support you who are subject matter experts, who've put that time in to help you. And the second way to get wealthy is to take a risk. But we're not talking about any risk. We're talking about a calculated risk. Get to know the core 14. Get to understand the core 14. Give the core 14 a chance. And if you do that, then what you'll find is that if you take a look at all of our yesterdays, you could take a look, I put it in the chat earlier today, you can take a look at all the videos from January and see the growth of Core 4 since January. And start adding that up and say, what if I would have given them a chance before? You would have had access to 100% of your capital 100% of the time. You would have had people that would have been subject matter experts now that you would have seen week in and week out that are really here making a difference. And so that level of transparency and accountability and result is priceless. So to get wealthy, you have to get out of your own way and you got to take a risk. But remember what I always say, 3 things: become a subject matter expert, be the best version of yourself, and surround yourself with people who inspire you. And if you do that, then you can reflect on what Chris is saying. You can reflect on what James is saying. You can reflect on what India and Eric are offering. And then say to yourself, do I have $500 for a level of education in binary options? Do I have $650? Do I have whatever the minimum is for what Chris is offering? And you can ask him for the different projects that he has going. And then you can also ask James, because it's different for what your needs are when it comes to insurance and where you are with your investment journey, especially going up against your 401k. Put Chris's results up against your 401k. dollar cost average into what he's doing and watch what happens. He's got a 20-year track record, period. So I'm sharing all this with you because at some point you're going to have to get off the pot. Because if you're not a part of Core 4 and you're doing some other things that are different, then maybe you're missing the boat. And if you are doing something that's amazing, that has real world implications or even passes the Core 4 coefficient, then let us know about it, because we would love to add it to the show and we would love to make an impact in more people's lives. So we're not complaining. We are ecstatic. And we are excited that our tomorrow is going to be better than today. And if you want to join our community, please do. It costs $50 right now to join our community, to be able to get the discounts and build the relationships. It's just a one-time payment right now until otherwise noted. And then we also are going to have a meetup. We're not going to have a summit until December, but we're going to have a meetup June 28th to June 30th, where you get a chance to meet some of the people that are on here. You get a chance to talk to them, get to know them even better. And what more could you ask? So from the Core 4 family, I just want to say thank you so much. I love you whether you like it or not, and good night.